Hi, and thanks for coming back to the channel. Where to today? We're going to Woomera. Woomera, the rocket range in South Australia. So we're departing Port Augusta, where it's a chilly 8 degrees centigrade, about 6 o'clock in the morning, and we'll go via Port Augusta through to Pimba, and then from Pimba we turn off to Woomera.
Woomera. It was a recipe for disaster.
And a bit later on in the video I'll explain why that gentleman made such a comment. Woomera, a recipe for disaster. But just so you know where we're going, Woomera's about 177 kilometres from Port Augusta, just over 100 miles, and up the Stuart Highway. And I'll let you have a little bit of a look, and I'll tell you a bit more as we go on. Good morning. Where to today? Well, today I just want to pop up to Woomera. Woomera, and oh god, I'm too old for this foot. Oh dear. Good morning. Where to today? Woomera Rocket Range. Not Woomera Rocket Range, it's closed unfortunately, but Woomera townsite. It's about 180 kilometres north of Port Augusta. Personal trip for me. I'm going to bring back some memories. I lived there as a child, and we're giving away ages now, but we lived there from 1962 to 66 for 4 years, and went back to Adelaide for 2 years with Dad's work, and then they brought him back up here again for another 4 years from 68 to 72, and then when that packed up we moved to Western Australia. So very historic for me, some memories. We had 2 different houses we were up in there, we lived in when we were up there. 37 Goonda Street was the first one, where I went to primary school, and number 2 Kinka Street, when I went to the high school, all that. I'm going to leave my helmet on. It's 8 degrees, and it's 10 minutes past 6 in the morning. I've got the neck warmer and the jacket, obviously, because it's a little bit chilly. And hopefully that's what you can see from behind me. Just some beautiful country. I love it. This used to be a dirt road, all but 5 kilometres from Port Augusta end. So when we lived up in Woomera, yeah, it's 160 or 100 mile of dirt, literally 160 k's of dirt road. It was a locked townsite. It was a Commonwealth Police, who are now called the Australian Federal Police, but Commonwealth Police manned a gate, a boom gate. If you didn't have a pass, you didn't get into Woomera. Secure site, military site. My father worked on the Eldo Blue Streak rocket deployment, and then for the last couple of years that closed down, and he moved across to NASA, who had a deep space tracking station, DSS 41. And that was involved with monitoring the Apollo 11 moon landing, first man on the moon in '69, and also the Ranger missions, where they sent a couple of satellites off to Mars. This is way back in very early 70s. Huge steps in those days. That finally packed up. The Americans came in force in the late 60s and 70s for 10 or 15 years, and I'm told it was just still a lovely town. It was a town of about a 1 square mile in size, and had 5,000 people, and wanted for nothing. Government town. Beauty of it as a child, not realising at the time, but no unemployment, no buffheads on the street, no problems anywhere. If you played up, you'd be kicked out of the town site, literally. Yeah, good fun. And no TV, and only 1 radio station, the ABC National Radio. So we'd sit around the radio with the family and listen to Tony Hancock's Half Hour and the Goon Show and whatever else was on in those days. I can't think of them offhand, but lovely. Got my first motorbike at the age of 12, and that's the sort of countryside we rode off into the Donga. We call it the Donga, into the bush, red dust, just fantastic. Anyway, looking forward to getting up to Woomera. It's enough waffle. Be mindful, there's I can see sheep one side of the road, goats. I passed a mob of goats on the other side of the road, and obviously early morning, so there's a bit of roadkill from overnight. So I was following a truck, a oil tanker. I'll try and catch up to that and then stick behind him for the rest of the trip. But it should be good. But yeah, please travel with me today to Woomera. I'm going to refresh some memories. I have heard some, well, I know I'm going to be a little bit disappointed because the town site is pretty much demolished, and of a thriving town of 5,000 or close to 6,000 at one stage, I think it's down to about 120 people that live there. You know, let's go and find out. Travel with me if you like. Travel with me to Woomera. Where to today? Woomera. All the best. Thanks. Bye.
Other European countries to work towards launching a European satellite from Woomera.
It was a recipe for disaster.
Well, here we are on the Stuart Highway, heading north to Pimba, and then there's a turn off of the Stuart Highway and another 5k's down the road to Woomera. I'll let you enjoy some of this magnificent scenery as the sun comes up over the horizon, over the top of the northern end of the Flinders Ranges. But just lovely country. Hope you enjoy it. Please travel with me to Pimba and then Woomera. I'm going to make this a two-part video. So the first bit will be to Pimba, and then the second bit will be Woomera town site with some drone footage and some memories of Woomera and what it was all about in its heyday. Please come along for the ride. Thanks. All the best. Bye. There we go. We've made it to just outside of Pimba. It's about 5k's away from Woomera. And back in the day, Pimba was really just a railway siding for the train. It goes through to Alice Spring, the Gan train. A couple of little houses and a petrol station. And then you turn off to go to Woomera with the 5k down the track. And go through the Commonwealth Gates, Commonwealth Police boom gates if you had a pass to get into Woomera. That's what it's about. This road continues on, bypasses Woomera, and goes up to Alice Springs and through to Darwin. These couple of signs here are prohibited. There was two sites on the south side of Woomera or Pimba. One was Narunga, which was an American base. They had all the domes in those days. We're back in the early 60s in the Cold War, and they were looking up for the spy satellites, etc. And then a bit further down, I think it was actually a separate entry, it was a NASA Deep Space Tracking Station, DSS 41. I'm not sure if this is the same road for it, but either way, it's all government, Australian Defence, Department of Defence land, and it's prohibited to get onto it. So we'll move on into Woomera. We'll stop at Pimba. I'll get a coffee. We'll certainly get some fuel. And then we'll move into Woomera and have a look around there. All the best. Thanks. Bye. Well, here we are at Pimba Roadhouse, which has been here forever. I mean, it was here when I first came to Woomera, first memories of Woomera, so that's back in the mid-60s. So we came in 62 to 66, 4 years, went back to Adelaide for 2, and then came back up for another 4 years from 68 to 72. Pimba was here then. Just a roadhouse and a couple of houses, part of the railway settlement, I suppose. Some maintenance crews, still going strong, stronger than Woomera from what I'm hearing. So yeah, a little bit look around the room, take you through the place. So have a coffee and we're going to move on. Thanks for that. And then we'll wander through. I don't know how they get away with all the car number plates. The RAF uniforms, or not RAF, I think it's, I wanted to say American uniforms, because it was a big, strong influence of the Americans in more the late 70s, 80s and 90s. US Air Force, there we go. All car number plates. Texas, Nebraska, Rhode Island, there you go, North Carolina, Washington. Well, there's a drone shot of Spud's Roadhouse, nice and neat there, with a road train just pulling in. What's that, a four trailer road train. They're all big up this neck of the woods. Pimba itself, more so the railway maintenance crews, a few prospectors and a few others that have been there for a while. And there's one of the trains that they try to look after on the track. Look at the size of that, with the amount of carriages on that, I guess coming down from Roxby Downs. Another view of Spud's Roadhouse, and another truck on the road, 4 trailers, so they take a bit to overtake, certainly if you're in a caravan or whatever. You've certainly got to give them room and be mindful of how long it's going to take to get past them. Whilst there, I caught up with a Japanese gentleman. Didn't speak a lot of English, but I ascertained that he'd come up from Adelaide and was walking through at least to Alice Springs by foot. So he'd been on the road for a couple of months. There he is there. So he'll swing around and head up to Woomera, and then Woomera onwards through to a 1,000-kilometre walk. Alice Springs, here we come. But for us it's Woomera. I'm going to split this video into 2 parts. So the first part will finish here at Pimba, and the second one will be arriving at Woomera, and then some drone footage and some memories of Woomera townsite. A little bit of look at the museum and etc, etc. So 2 parts. This is the end of the Pimba trip on the way to Woomera. Second part will be Woomera itself. I hope you've enjoyed the travel. If you have, a like or comment would be fantastic. And I look forward to seeing you in this second episode of Woomera. Thanks, bye.